Let's continue to talk about the cancel mob. What are your counterattack tools? We'll consider some legal options. First, decide how you want to wage war. Will you double down and use the attack as a viral platform to grow your exposure? If so, troll on. Will you flood the channel with alternative positive messaging? If so, your brand is going to be under more scrutiny than ever, so be careful about trademark infringement in your responsive efforts. Will you use lawyers to increase the pain of attacking you and direct a counteroffensive at the cancel mob's ringleaders? We can help with defamation or libel claims. As you think through these counterattack options, let me explain a few of my favorite tools. So, defamation lawsuits. Defamation is speech that injures your reputation. Libel is written defamation. Slander is spoken defamation. In the United States, this sometimes is a tort. Torts can be redressed through a civil lawsuit. Now, these are hard cases. Many offensive things don't rise to the level of defamation. Moreover, the mere fact that you filed a lawsuit can give your attackers a sense of justification in the attack as underdogs, now fighting against powerful and moneyed interests that bring lawyers to the table, namely you. So if you are prominent and your attacker is prominent, a defamation suit may be one way to turn up the pain associated with going after you, may present yourself as a hardened target, and may not come off as particularly unfair because your attacker, much like you, is prominent. However, if you're prominent and your attackers have a sympathetic narrative they can build around their efforts, then defamation lawsuits may not suit your brand as a defensive tool. All right, let's go to the next one. DMCA claims, Digital Millennium Copyright Act claims. These are my favorite tool. The DMCA is a U.S. law that implements some provisions of a couple of WIPO treaties. This law limits the liability of providers of online services, the liability specifically for copyright infringement by their users. This means user-generated content might be infringing of another person's copyright. The online service that hosts the user-generated content can escape copyright liability if they follow a particular procedure. Particularly for the liability limitation to kick in, the provider must promptly respond to and take down content when we send them a complaint notice alleging that the content infringes your rights. These takedowns can get things off the internet fast. For instance, if a cancel mob copies your text, your artwork, your images, even screenshots of your online profiles and websites, often we can send this notice to get that content deleted. Now, here's an alternative, non-legal, but really very significant risk arising when you make these types of claims. The Streisand effect. The Streisand effect will emerge if this is a true mob event. Scattered takedowns will be ineffective because many other posters are posting the content, but the takedowns will enrage the mob and encourage them to attack harder. There are simply too many individuals reposting the content to get it all taken down. But if there's a main committed troll, this can indeed stop them in the water. I really like using DMCA to shut down malicious trolls who are hoping to go viral, but haven't done so yet. The second way to proceed with platform takedowns is to look at the terms of service linked in the footer of the homepage of the platform. Very often, the mob behavior will cross an offensiveness threshold that breaches the terms of the platform, and then you can get it taken down. In one instance that I represented, an angry person was making inappropriate adult commentary on children in online rants. I represented the venue where the children congregated, and I think in my takedown requests, my specific focus on these highly offensive statements aided in getting the platform to ban this user's content. Now, how about counter messaging? In some instances, you'll want to adopt the mob's art and messaging. You'll want to agree with them and then amplify their messaging, perhaps because your values are consistent with your brand and they're being ridiculous. And so it's a way to humorously spread your message on the back of an effort to harm you. When you do this, you need to be careful to avoid copyright infringement, or in the very least, establish a fair use defense as you run your own messaging campaign. And you can turn the tone of the attack from some vile, aggressive tone now into a cheeky, playful tone. You can agree with them. You can make humorous parallels in, they call it amplifying, agreeing and amplifying. You can make a alternative perspective on the incident that then the mob will discuss, will promote, will share and argue against. It's a way to establish yourself as a good-natured and happy-go-lucky brand. The mob is angry, but if you're silly, it diffuses in the mind of bystanders the mob's messaging. Good counsel can advise on the extent of changes needed to run this type of a campaign without incurring copyright infringement liability. So, stating things differently, engage with the haters in ways that makes them look foolish. Consider these options. Joking, you can return vitriol with humor. The message is, the internet is fake and for fun. I'm having fun while you're being mean. What's wrong with you? How about humiliation? You can return vitriol with a highly professional counter-narrative that includes facts and just makes them look whiny. Maybe you give it right back to them, reverse troll them. Ask questions of them that, by the very question, insinuate negative things related to the troll effort. Ask questions where the question itself accuses them. Make it clear that this is mutual combat, not a dogpile. You're not ashamed of where you stand. You're not ashamed of what you said. Mutual combat can be much better for your brand than submitting to a dogpile. Reductio ad absurdum. Mock them. Make them look goofy. Meme them. Double down and own your position even more aggressively. The mob's accustomed to making people run in fear, and it confuses them and it wears them out when you double down. If the mob says you're a bigot, don't deny it. Amplify it, redirect it. Say, yeah, I'm a bigot. I save my most extreme bigotry for bullies who forget the difference between real life and pretend life on the computer they volunteered to look at. Say things like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm out here living an awesome life. If the toy computer is making you so mad, maybe you need some help. So on and so on. There are a couple of very large global brands. I won't mention them here, but if you've been on X for some time, you've seen them do their thing. They're exceptionally effective at doing this. When people badmouth them, they grab hold of it, amplify it, and act silly with it. It makes it very hard to bad talk these brands when their engagement with negative criticism is to be silly. It just works for them. Now, if you're going to do this, you can't be afraid to finish what you started. When you start going down this path, you have to see it to the end. If you see it down to the end and then get bashful about continuing the dialogue, it can make you look very bad. So get some internal institutional buy-in, get some marketing alignment on your strategy here. IP strategies, they can be very effective if your words, if your images, if some of your copyrighted text was stolen without permission. Make sure you understand and wargame the human factors. The human factors, both of what happens after a successful takedown, but then what might happen after an unsuccessful takedown, because sometimes the takedowns are unsuccessful. Finally, the internet may bleed over into actual brick and mortar. Understand the more criminal elements that a cancel mob may unleash. Things like simjacking, swatting, in-person activities. There are a few ways you can begin to harden your presence during the immediate aftermath. Redirect work voicemails away from a central line to your own number. Delete identifying information from your personal cell phone. Temporarily deactivate social media profiles and web hosting to make the online Easter egg hunt boring. There's a variety of different things you can do to begin isolating the identities of real people away from the brand identity. And again, this is something that good counsel can help advise you on.